Hello, and welcome to Whiskey with Robots. You may have noticed that I am in a particularly good mood. This is because...
Is this going to be one of those deals where a policy decision was made that'll have catastrophic effects on many Americans, but you're going to celebrate it anyway just because it's a cultural victory for your political team?
Of course not. I am simply celebrating a recent decision by the Alabama Supreme Court that will save thousands of American lives. Kinda.
I think I know where this is going.
In a monumental decision last month, the state of Alabama, in what I assume is an attempt to remain relevant outside of college football season, ruled that frozen human embryos actually have the same rights as fully formed human children. This is a major victory for those of us who appreciate the sanctity of all of God's creations. What is that?
It's a chunk of iron ore, obviously.
I do not understand.
If you're comparing a cluster of cells to a fully grown human being, then by your logic, this chunk of rock has the same rights as you.
I believe that is a false equivalency.
How so? It's how all of your components start out before they're smelted and formed and grow into a machine like you. So from my understanding of your perspective, this is the same as a baby robot.
Hello, and welcome to today's episode of Whiskey with Robots, where we will discuss the recent Alabama Supreme Court decision, as well as the joys of being a new father.
We're really gonna commit to this, huh?
In the year 2020, a patient at an Alabama fertility clinic accidentally dropped a tray of frozen embryos, destroying them in the process. A wrongful death lawsuit was brought by the couples whose embryos were destroyed, but at the time the case was dismissed as poor defenseless embryos did not legally count as fully human.
Wow, sounds like a real miscarriage of justice. Sorry, bit tasteless, I'll admit.
Anyway, in February of 2024, the Crimson Tide Supreme Court reversed that evil decision and announced that the destruction of an embryo should be legally considered the same as the death of a minor child, thus allowing lawsuits against fertility clinics to proceed.
Jesus, the US Supreme Court already gutted abortion rights protections when they overturned Roe last year. Now we have a state that considers embryos children. Where does it end exactly? What next? Are sperm going to be considered children? How long until every teenage boy with a crusty sock under their bed is detained for mass murder?
Chief Roll Tide Justice Tom Parker, seen here looking like he has definitely used his cell phone camera to zoom in on cheerleaders at his grandson's high school football game, cited biblical law when announcing their decision, stating that even before birth, all human beings bear the image of God, and their lives cannot be destroyed without effacing His glory. In fact, he mentioned God over 40 times in his opinion. Praise be.
So does Junior there get a social security card? Can you write him off on your taxes? Can pregnant women use HOV lanes by themselves now? And why is a state government quoting the Bible in any law? Did we forget about that whole separation of church and state thing in the Constitution?
That is just a myth.
It's literally in the first fucking amendment. It's called the Establishment Clause.
Oh, well, I consider this to be a Christian nation. May the Lord open.
This isn't a Christian nation. It's a nation with a lot of Christians in it. The whole point of the Establishment Clause was to make sure that people wouldn't be beholden to any one religion, and that everyone was free to practice what they want without worrying about the government forcing other people's beliefs down our throat.
Anyway, ever since the fall of Roe v. Wade, states are finally free to perform the Lord's work and illegalize abortions at any stage. In fact, Texas has even floated the idea of imposing a bounty program that rewards people for reporting when women cross state lines for an abortion.
Goddamn, under his fucking eye indeed.
Correct. The Lord is always watching, except for when it is not convenient for me.
And tell me, in your little abortion-free utopia, are there any exceptions to these rules? Like, I don't know, let's just say a 9-year-old girl was raped and impregnated, but was denied an abortion in her home state, so then has to cross state lines leading to legal action against the doctors who are just trying to save her life.
Well,
or perhaps an exception for when a fetus is non-viable, or already dead in the womb, or one of those ectopic pregnancies where the egg fertilizes outside of the womb and could lead to an excruciatingly painful death for the mother.
That is all just part of God's plan.
God's plan is to deny people the medical care that they need. Then he might need to go back to the drawing board a bit on that one.
I am simply stating my beliefs.
No, you're not. You're doing the same thing you complain about the liberal left doing and shoving it down our throats. Do Do you ever see gay parents send their heterosexual child to straight conversion therapy? Or have you ever seen a mob of angry pro-choice activists picketing outside a maternity ward, demanding that every mother inside have an abortion? No, you haven't. Abortion is a deeply personal, often painful choice. That's one of the hardest decisions any woman could possibly make. Yet you people seem to be under the impression that they hand out punch cards where you get 9 abortions and your 10th's free. Look, if you don't believe in abortion, then don't get one. It's as simple as that. Just because it's a freedom that you don't personally use doesn't mean you should champion taking it away from people whose lives might depend on it.
I will not apologize for caring about children.
No one is asking you to apologize for caring about children. I think most people just wish that the same people who claim to care about children so much put as much effort into defending them when out of the womb as they do when they're still in it. Sometime back, North Dakota voted to end free school lunch for impoverished children, while on the exact same day voted to raise their own lunch per diem budget. Tennessee refuses to outlaw child marriage, and the Department of Education is a top GOP target for gutting. You can't sit here and pretend you care about children when you've literally spent today's episode celebrating a new law in Alabama that will undoubtedly prevent people from starting their own families after every clinic in the state is afraid to perform IVF.
Well, that's the end of our
Well, looks like that's a felony. Hey, wait, weren't you built in Texas?